Hey, Geezer here, and your question is what jobs can you get with a marine biology degree? So let me just talk with you a little bit about that. Um, there is a marine biology degree is just for the context here is a fairly limited view of what folks that have biological degrees in the marine environment do. So if I want to be a marine biologist, that's probably going to limit me to the kinds of things that are related to marine ecology and figuring out how these various and sundry things work in some specialty. Now, some people have a broad experience and can study many different species, and they sort of become a generalist in the area of marine biology. But a lot of times people are focused on a particular species or a particular group of species or that allow them to become experts at that kind of thing. So that's where the jobs typically lie. There are some of these generalist kind of study jobs that people are out there working on oceanographic vessels, gathering information in a broad setting, and they would be marine biologists to do so. There are others who are focused on particular, there's many more jobs in those areas of people who are focused on, for example, marine species fisheries management, for example, or shellfish management. Those are jobs where you need to know about the species that you're working with, and then you talk about what the impacts of harvest would be or other kinds of things. And there's usually a connection between the species that you're working with and the economy some way, right? So somebody's got to pay the bills. And so the economy is what drives this whole thing. So if I have a commercial species, take for example, Alaskan salmon, right? So that's a huge commercial catch. And of course there's recreational pieces to that management as well. But there's a huge commercial component to that. And so because a wrong decision in terms of the management can be devastating to the stocks, they pay a fair amount to manage that, and they bring in scientists to do that. And while they're not, quote, marine biologists, they're fisheries biologists, but they're in the marine environment. They're studying the fish they're passing in the marine environment. So they're really very busy with the marine environment, but they're not classified as marine biologists. They won't be hiring marine biologists to do that. They'll be hiring fisheries biologists, and specifically those who understand harvest management. The others will be working on habitat preservation or enhancements in order to make sure those things work. And so that happens also in the marine environment. Those won't be classified as marine biologists. They'll be fisheries biologists. There'll be people working with shellfish and other invertebrates, and they won't be classified probably as marine biologists, but they'll be working because they have some tie to some economic interest. Now, there are those people who have those degrees, whether it's in a specialty like fisheries or invertebrate biology or some other form. Those people will be hired many times by regulators, government agencies, and so on, or consulting firms, or even private institutions and companies in order to prepare environmental impact statements or to assess the environmental impact or to regulate these species in terms of harvest or other kind of management. Sometimes it's pest control. So those things will be a part of those job opportunities. As you move along, you'll see those jobs show up, but they're often, and I say frequently, directed toward those specific disciplines that they're seeking. It's not the broader marine biology kind of thing. So, and people who are working in marine mammals, for example, would be classified probably as a marine biologist, but they're not really. Maybe they would argue that they are. Wait a minute, we're marine biologists. But I do know people who are experts in the area of marine mammals, and they focus on marine mammals. They don't think about sea urchins as well. They might if they were working with otters, sea otters, because they can eat that. But there are typically they'll be focused on the life history of the animals that they're working with, and that's what a lot of these degrees are. They're specialized and they work with a specific kind of animal, and that's what kind of job you'll get. Now, so to kind of bring So there's the raw research folks that are out there studying the bugs and species, making those observations. They're sort of descriptive biologists, describing life histories, understanding the habitats, and then there are folks who are doing habitat improvement kinds of things, sort of to benefit the species. Those people who are doing habitat preservation, and some of those are in the regulatory environment. Some people are in enhancements and other kinds of things. So there's a broad range where you can go from having an office job, doing regulatory kinds of things. Because of your background, you now have an understanding of how all this fits, and so you can provide good information to regulators. So that could be one end of the spectrum, down to the field work, which is out there, taking water samples and investigating population dynamics and other things with the species that you're working with in a very specific area. So there's a broad range of job opportunities. The problem is that there are very few people that are hired. Just frankly, there's lots of people who have degrees. Very few people have jobs. So it is important to consider that in your grand scheme of what kind of jobs can I get with a marine biology degree. And if I did go get that, then what happens? Well, frequently it takes a master's degree or something more specialist to distinguish you from somebody else who has a degree. So you want to be able to get that degree, get an advanced degree. I mean, that's my recommendation. Get an advanced degree, get experience through volunteer work and other kinds of things to get the experience to distinguish you, to not only improve your skill set, but distinguish you from other candidates for a job that you might want to get. And that all can take a long time, and it can be fairly expensive. And we know what student loans do. So you may want to, that may not be your choice. I think it's worth it. I would have done it at any cost, because it was I had, going one side tangent, I was offered a scholarship at a college, and I would have, and the scholarship was immaterial to me because I was going to go to that college because I wanted that specific education. And so the scholarship was not for scholarship kinds of things, it was for athletics. So I was offered that scholarship, had another college offered me that same scholarship, I would have passed it down. I would have passed it up. I guess I wouldn't pass it down, I would pass it up. It would have passed down to somebody else. But I would have passed it up because I wanted to go to this specific university for the education that I got. And so if you have the passion to want to pay the price, no matter what it is, then by all means, do what I just suggested. Get a degree, get an advanced degree or more, get experience, volunteer if you have to get the experience, and then go out and work. Develop your network. Make sure you understand who you're talking with and how you can do that. But those are the kind of jobs that are out there. They're exciting and they're fun, and they're few and far between, and the likelihood of you scoring one is pretty slim, and and certainly not without an advanced degree. So you may want to say, well, is there an easier way? If I'm just really interested in a living, and I could work and volunteer and be happy, it would satisfy that part of the gratification. I think there are these three pieces, right? I say that there's qualification, there's gratification, and there's compensation, right? And those see where they overlap. Those are where the sweet spot of your life is. And what if you just want to get gratified and you really don't expect to get compensated? Well, where gratification and qualification match, that's charity work. That's volunteer work. And that's great. You're happy and you're qualified to do it, great. If you don't have to be compensated, so much the better. So if you do need to be compensated, that means you got to get a job somehow, some relationship where you're getting compensated to do these things that you like to do and that you're qualified to do. If that's the case, and you can't get compensated for it, that doesn't mean that this can't happen. You just have to find another way to finance that. So I would suggest, just recommend you take a look at the link below, click on the link below, and it'll take you over. You can look at something that will show you a different perspective. Maybe it works for you, maybe it doesn't, but at least you'll have an opportunity to see how you could put it all together even if you didn't get paid to do these things. So anyhow, that's all I have to say. Thanks a lot. Geezer out.